Google Drive is one of the most powerful tools within the G Suite environment. I like to think of Google Drive kind of as, if for those of us that are a little bit older, our hard drives in our computer, right? That's where we stored all of our information, our files, programs, those types of things. Google Drive functions similarly, except that all of the data, instead of living on your hard drive on your computer, it lives out in the cloud somewhere. That becomes incredibly powerful because that allows me to not only access it from my computer, but from my phone, from a tablet, from a kiosk at some place. As long as I have my username and password, I can access the files that I have on Google Drive. So let's start by just taking a look around the environment. So get familiar with some of the tools, where they're located, and how we use Google Drive. So I'm going to start by coming over to this big blue button over here. This is my new button. So this is where I can click and I can get to places or things like creating folders. I can upload files. I can even upload entire folders here. I can also come in and create different docs and sheets and those types of things. So really what it does, it allows me to access the different tools. Now remember, we talked about this grid a little bit, so we call this the waffle. I can access tools from here, but some people also like to access their tools from the Google Drive folder. So from there, you notice we have some different resources here, shared with me recent and different things. I can also get a look at what my usage is, because this is a personal account. I get 15 gigs. I haven't used very much of that, and trash start and so on. So we'll take a look at those a little bit more thoroughly later. One thing to note here under My Drive, I have a little triangle here, a sideways triangle. If I click on that, what that allows me to do is expand my drive. So these are the subfolders under the My Drive folder. And you notice I have another arrow here. So anytime you see an arrow like that, that tells you that you can expand and there's more under that file there. So I can do each one of these files here. Let's go to the right a little bit. Notice what I can do. I can actually click here and I can do the same thing from this icon or from this space as I can from the new button here. So this just gives me to the same spot. I can also use this as kind of a navigation. So if I click on this folder, what you're going to notice is that I'm now sitting in this Google Class folder here, right? So I consider these to be breadcrumbs. If I want to jump back to My Drive, I can simply click here. If I want to jump into Forms, again, I can click back and forth between these different pieces. Down here, this is really my view. Right now, I'm in what we call grid view. So on the top, I see all of the folders, right, for this particular folder that I'm in. So within the Google Class folder, I have several different folders, so we're nesting these folders. I also have several files within this folder as well. So this allows me to kind of jump back and forth between different folders and files. Again, notice how as I click on each one of these, it actually creates some breadcrumbs that allows me to get back and allows me to really to see where I'm at within my Google Drive folder. Come to the right, this is where I can toggle between my list view and grid view. The nice thing about the grid view is it allows me to see kind of a snapshot of what that document looks like. So if I'm looking for a certain color scheme, a graphic, for example, this one right here, I can very easily pick this out. If I click on list view here, what it does is it keeps this quick access menu here, but what I can also do now is I can come down and I can look at these same folders and files, but what it does is it gives me a little bit more information about when that file was modified or created, how large it is, and some different things. So there's different views here, and again, I can toggle back and forth between these views simply by clicking on this icon here, from grid to list view. And if I'm looking for a document that somebody created, I'm most likely going to go into list view, because then I can look to see who the owner is and see different resources here that allow me to determine which file I need. If I click on this little eye right here, this informational icon, what's nice about this is it actually gives me information on each one of these. So I'm going to come back to my grid view. I'm going to come down and I'm going to click on this. And what you're going to know or note here is that it will show me activities. So when I've created a link, what I've done with this particular document here. If I toggle over to the Details tab here, what it does, again, it gives me information about that file. So again, whatever you're comfortable with, use the list view or the grid view, but this informational piece right here also does a nice job of providing additional information for you. And again, I can toggle back and forth between these tabs. If I want to turn this off because I need more screen resources, I simply click here to toggle that off, and I get more space here. I've got a little help, administrator help right here, so it gives me some information that allows me to ask questions. So if I'm struggling to find something within Google Drive, I can simply click on this icon. And this last piece here, this is really important. This is your settings menu. So this is where you can come in and you can actually toggle, change some things within Google Drive here. So I'm going to turn this on. Notice I have 3 tabs over here, or 3 different indexes, general. Notice it gives me my storage information. I can convert uploads, and we're going to get to that a little bit later, but note that that is here. I can sync Google Docs to work offline. So again, and then here's the recommendation. Make sure you don't do this on a public or shared computer. I can change the look and feel of Google Drive. I can take and change it from a very comfortable, spaced apart list and things to a more compact. Again, if I have limited screen resources, I can do that. Automatically put your Google Photos into a folder in My Drive. So this is really powerful. So recently they connected Google Photos to Google Drive. So if you use the Google Photos app, what it will automatically do is it will create a Google Photos folder within Drive for you. And I'll show you that a little bit later. I can turn notifications on if I want. I choose to get those via email. And I can also manage some apps that I have here within Google Drive. And so we'll get to those pieces later. So that's just a real quick down and dirty look at the ins and outs of Google Drive, and we will get to more of the in-depth details within the next video.